14 months ago to this day, who could have imagined where we have been? Words like outbreak, pandemic were used in other places around the world, certainly not in Charleston, West Virginia. 14 months later, we understand what hopelessness can mean. It means a different world, a different city, a different home for some of us. It means food lines, meal gaps, an increase in alcoholism and abuse, families in trauma, homelessness. It means nowhere to turn for hope. But in the words of William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army, while men and women go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. I'll fight to the very end. And that's exactly what the Salvation Army in Charleston has done for the last year, fighting to bring hope to those in need.
The Salvation Army's been everywhere. They've been everywhere. And that's outside of the building where I believe the most work is done, and then inside the building when people are coming here for needs and services.
Well, our partnerships have definitely strengthened through COVID in helping us provide additional services or taking our services outside of our normal building.
During the past year, the Salvation Army distributed more than 2,700 boxes of food in rural communities around Logan, Man, Chapmanville, and Dawes. Our volunteers served more than 12,000 meals to families in Charleston. Our local grocery stores donated water, bakery items, and canned food that brought smiles and hope to families in peril. Thanks to thousands of volunteers and community partners like the United Way, Cabin Creek Health Systems, and Kanawha Collective, we did all this together. But the Salvation Army was here before COVID started, and we will be here when COVID is done.
The Salvation Army is always like this. It's a thing that you know is there. If I need to tell someone where to go for food, I know that it's there. If someone needs, a hand out of a situation, bill pay or whatever it may be, Salvation Army is a consistency in a relatively inconsistent world.
In addition to COVID relief, the Salvation Army Charleston Area Command assisted 4,225 individuals during 2020. These services included grocery orders, utility and rent assistance, clothing, furniture, and meals. And we did all of this together with other community agencies, arm in arm, to help our Charleston hometown. Despite all the COVID restrictions and closings, we still did our traditional Christmas ministry last year. Together with hundreds of volunteers, businesses, service clubs, and professionals, the Salvation Army served more than 2,100 people with more than 900 angels and thousands of toys. No child went without a visit from Santa last year, and no one went without a full stomach on Christmas because of your generous support. And of course, during those long winter nights that always come to Charleston, we opened the cold weather shelter for those in real need. Cots, hot meals, warm and clean clothing were all provided with love and joy, with a hope of a better day. But COVID had an effect on the Salvation Army as well. Like many of our community retail establishments, our family stores had to be closed for a period of time. Our Boys and Girls Clubs moved to digital programming. We did the best we could do. We made lemonade out of lemons, and like many of you, believe that our normal will quickly return in the weeks ahead. Similar to most churches in town, our weekly services went digital. While we watched and interacted online, we missed the fellowship and community of the full congregation each week. For those that are traditionally homebound, watching church was great, but we longed to sit in the pews and interact with fellow believers again as soon as possible.
After 2 or 3 really long nights of warming center, I was talking to the major and he said, "You gotta help me, I've lost my compassion." And it is so important for people to know that self-care to these folks has to happen. And because we were all there, but we were all scared to say it to him. I mean, good golly, we were like, we're not gonna be the ones to admit that this is really, really hard work. And when he said that to me, it allowed all of us to have a minute and to grieve for the people we were serving and to know that this is such hard work, but God bless those of us who are willing to do it. And so that moved me, and I think about it often.
Your Salvation Army in Charleston, West Virginia has survived and thrived during the last 14 months. We've done this together with partners and supporters around the community. We could never have imagined the people, the small businesses, the other agencies in town that have joined together to minister in God's name to those in need. The Faces of Hope tell our story. A story that 14 months ago, we could have never predicted or written. Only in heaven will we be able to see the impact that so many partners, volunteers, donors, and friends have made on behalf of and through the Salvation Army, Charleston Area Command. Hope is what we have brought together. To God be the glory. Amen.